friends, today I'll be talking about price floor. Right? In my earlier video, I had talked about price ceiling. Now, price floor is another kind of a price control that's imposed by the government. So today I'll be talking about that. So what is price floor? Price floor is the lower limit imposed on the price of a product or service. The price floor is always above the equilibrium price of the product or service. All right, now let's get to this diagram. So it says that on my x-axis I have quantity, on my y-axis I have price. This is my demand curve and that's my supply curve. Wherever they intersect, that's my equilibrium point, and correspondingly I get my equilibrium price and I get my equilibrium quantity, right? Now, a price floor is basically a price that's imposed above your equilibrium price. That is, in this case, PFR is my price floor that's imposed by the government. Now, there could be various reasons why the government imposes, price floor. One of the reasons could be in order to give labor fair wages. It could be to support farmers, it could be from environmental point of view. There could be several reasons, right? What I'll be doing, I'll be discussing these three examples and the consequences of it. All right, I'll be explaining the examples and then we'll see how good or bad these price floor is. Okay. Examples. So the first example is the minimum wage law. So the minimum wage law is basically that I have a price control here, a price floor here, which says that, let's say, if that's my equilibrium price, right, P star is my equilibrium price of labor in the market, but the government says that PF is the minimum price that employers, they have to pay to the laborers, okay, basically for the low skilled workers, the low skilled laborers. Okay, so PF is the minimum wage that they have to pay, even if the market determined price is P star. Okay, that's my first example. So let's see what happens. Now this leads to more supply of labor than the demand for labor. So as you can see from the diagram here, this price PFR, which is the price floor, intersects my demand curve here. And so that's the quantity demanded then by the employers, right? But the quantity supplied is here, R, right? This much. Because of the high price, the supply of labor is more than the demand. And because of the high price, the demand for the labor is very low. So basically, this whole area, so if I just mark it as V, this point, then this VR is nothing but my excess supply of labor, right? That's my excess supply of labor in the market. Now this is nothing but unemployment, right? Because only this much is demanded, only this much is demanded, only OQD is demanded, but OQS is supplied in the market. Okay, so this labor, this amount of labor, VR amount of labor is basically unemployed in the market because this and this are parallel to each other. So I can write VR or QDQS is my unemployment in the market. All right, so that's what I've written. This leads to more supply of labor than the demand for labor. That is, there's excess supply of labor in the market. That leads to unemployment in the market. This kind of price floor disincentivizes a producer or business from hiring its desired amount of labor for low-skilled jobs, as the price of labor is higher than the market-determined equilibrium price. Now, the whole point is that, if this is the price for a low skilled labor, at this price they can get a high skilled labor also. So why would they hire a low skilled labor, right? So the employers, they just don't hire low skilled labor. Okay, so there is excess supply of labor in the market. So the whole purpose of getting a fair wage to these workers is waste, right? Okay, coming to my second example, it's agricultural price support programs. Now in this, the government imposes a lower limit, let's say the floor price, on the purchase price for some of the agricultural goods, right? So what the government does that, all right, let's say a crop wheat, okay, so the government says that instead of the market determined price of P star, PF is the price at which this wheat will be purchased from the market. Okay, it's basically incentivizing farmers, right? But then what happens is, doing so, producers get an incentive to produce the product for which floor price is mandated by the government, thereby not producing other goods. Like in India, price floor for wheat and rice. All right. So basically, the purpose of the government is to help farmers in order to gain a good price for their produce. But then what happens? It only incentivize the farmers to produce only those products for which there's price flooring, because not all crops have price flooring, right? So only some of them have. So that's why they start producing only those products or crops which have price floor, and thereby not producing other products. Okay, so that's not good. All right. The third is, let's say a local government might set a price floor on parking fees in municipal area. Okay, so then what happens? This would cause its residents to have to pay more than the market would otherwise dictate to park, and lead to empty parking lots. So basically, if the market determined price for the parking lots is P star, but the government imposes a price floor of PF, then maybe it's a too high price for people to pay for parking lots, right? And so they might just go empty. So people might not travel by car then, or by two vehicles, right? But it could meet the municipality's other goals of reducing congestion and encouraging residents to walk or bike downtown. All right. So, but it could have a positive impact, saying that that people might think that that's too high to pay for the parking lot. So why not just bike to downtown, or why not just walk if they live nearby, right? If they live nearby. So it's not that easy in order to in order to make these decisions by the government. Also, it's very hard because the pros and cons are very different, and it's a mixed bag, right? But yes, another major consequence of price floor is the deadweight loss. That is, on a whole, the society is again worse off, just like in the case of price ceiling. So how is that? Okay, let me just explain that again. Let's say, so the equilibrium price was this and this. That's before any price flooring, right? Now I've repeated this many times, but let me repeat that again. This area which is above my equilibrium price but below my demand curve, this area is the consumer surplus, right? Because that's what consumer surplus is defined as. Any area which is above the equilibrium price but below my demand curve. So this triangle gives me the consumer surplus, right? Similarly, the producer surplus is any area which is below the equilibrium price but above the supply curve. So this triangle gives me my producer surplus. Combining the two, this whole big triangle is my total surplus, right? Okay, so if I mark this as, let's say, T and U and let's say M. So TMU is my total surplus for the society as long as my price is P star and my quantity is Q star. That is at the market determined equilibrium price and quantity. Okay, now see what happens when the price floor is imposed. So now this is the price floor, so now this is the price basically, and since only this much is quantity demanded, so we'll take only this as the area, right? This one. Okay, so now since this is the price, so above price but below the demand curve, now my consumer surplus is only this much, TVPF. That's my consumer surplus, that's it. And below this whole trapezoid, so PFV, and if I mark this as N and U is my producer surplus, that is below my price but above my supply curve. Now why I am restricted till here? Because at that price only this much is demanded, right? So that's why I'm restricted till here. Okay, so this trapezoid, I'll repeat again, PFVNU, this whole trapezoid is my consumer surplus. Now my total surplus comes out to be this TVNU. Okay, now if you can see, my earlier surplus was TMU. Now if I minus my total surplus of TVNU, this area, I get this triangle of VMN. Now this triangle goes nowhere, right? So this is nothing but the deadweight loss to the society. So on her whole, the society is worse off. Okay, so hope you understand this, and see you next time. Bye bye.